Good morning and welcome to Authenticity, or Coffee if you're me, with Jera. I'm Jera. I run a business called The Magic of Authenticity, in which I teach, speak, coach about the awesomeness of being you in your highest power. And the live stream that you're seeing right now, whether you're seeing it later or as it's live, happens pretty much every day in the morning. And we just sit and chat about whatever is up around authenticity. If you're joining us live, feel free to comment along as we go along, and the video will be about 10 minutes. And if you're joining us later on either Facebook or YouTube, please feel free to leave your comments down below. Today is a busy day. My daughter is not feeling very well, so I'm gonna have to make this quick and get lots of stuff done, but today I really wanted to focus on something that I feel like a lot of people, including myself for a long time, really have some big issues with. And that is this like negative voice in our head. In the mental health sector, they call it ANTS, automatic negative thoughts. In the woo-woo heart healing group, we call it the judge, like the judge that sits in your head judging everything you do. And if you're confused about what this is, think about the last time you made a mistake or said something weird or, reacted to somebody, and that automatic thought that came into your brain of like, what an idiot, why did you do that? Why can't you do it better? That automatic negativity that comes in, that's what we're talking about. And I know for me, as I was healing from my mental health conditions, this was a really big deal, because those automatic negative thoughts, or the judge, or whatever you want to call it, kind of just sits in the back of your consciousness and just spews like vileness, just ugly, vile things. And it's really hard to escape it. It's not like you can just hang up the phone on your own consciousness. So it can be really hard to receive all this negativity when we're just going through our day trying our best. And that's why I think it's one of the primary things that as we work through our authenticity, we need to deal with, because we can do everything we in our power to get rid of the toxic people in our life, to repair relationships, to be better communicators. But all of that only goes so far if we have this super negative voice in our head all the time telling us how crappy we are. And so it's my opinion that relationship with that voice, that judge, the automatic negative thoughts, has to be repaired in order to like fully move forward into our power. And this was a really long journey for me. I was made aware of this issue earlier in my life when I started dealing with my mental health issues, but it was years of constantly combating that voice before I realized that it was really subdued or not quite present anymore. And that actually, I remember the day that I recognized that was the case. I was really, really sick. I had the flu or something a couple years ago. And I was in bed just like rolling around miserable, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You've been there. Rolling around just miserable and achy and gross, and just felt horrible about myself because I'm sick, I can't do anything. And as I was laying in bed feeling this way, my thoughts to myself were, all of a sudden it's okay, babe. It's all right. Like, just relax. This isn't your fault. You just have to relax into feeling better. And then like I imagined rubbing my own back. And I know this sounds crazy. I know it sounds like, whoa, seriously? But it really made me feel better. And when I got this rush of like love and being seen with that, in relationship to that voice in my head, it was like, holy crap. Like I'm talking to myself as if I'm my own best friend. Like I literally have an amazing wealth of love and support like inside my head, which is fabulous, because then you're not going around looking for all this approval outside yourself. You have that support and that love and that deep well of compassion for yourself. And it just blew me away. I was like, holy moly. I've gone from literally wanting to die due to lots of circumstances, but a lot due to that voice in my head, transitioned into like being my own best friend. And I'm not going to say there aren't days that crap is there and like winds up affecting me. It totally does. I think this is something that most of us are going to deal with most of our life. But that transition to being more supportive for myself than I was negative toward myself was massive and continues to be huge. Because if I let that negativity, I notice my well-being starts to tank when I notice that those thoughts start to come back. I'm like, wow, that was so idiotic. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. Where the hell did that come from? I don't talk to myself that way anymore. So I would say that was one of the biggest pieces of being able to be fully embrace my authenticity, is getting rid of that or subduing those voices that are so negative. So I want to give a couple of little hints or little tools that I use to deal with that issue that might help you. For anybody who is a mom, a dad, a big sister, big brother, aunt, uncle, teacher, preschool teacher, anybody who has children in their lives, who has a healthy relationship with those children, think about when you're going through life and you're experiencing these ants or this judge, however you want to look at it. Think about the things that you're saying to yourself. So you stand on the scale and you're 20 pounds overweight, you look in the mirror and hate what you see, okay? So the thought is, wow, what a fat ass. I can't do the things I did anymore. Why can't you just avoid cake? Those negative things that happen. Think about, instead of seeing yourself as you see yourself now, imagine saying that to a child of 3 or 5 years old. I mean, if you love a child, any child in your life, this seems inconceivable. You don't tell a child those ugly, nasty things. And therefore, you shouldn't tell yourself those ugly, nasty things, because there is a part of yourself that's always going to be that child, right? And when you say those things to yourself, there's a part of yourself that feels very, very unsafe inside yourself. And so imagine that the things that you say, be aware of what you're saying, and as you're observing that, imagine saying it to a child. And if you wouldn't say it to a child of about 3 to 5 years old, it's not appropriate to say to yourself. So this was huge. Hey, Tiff. Tiff knows what I'm talking about. She's a mom of several little ones. Just don't say crappy stuff to yourself that you wouldn't tell your kids. And I mean, right? Like, way easier said than done. First, you have to be present for what you're saying to yourself. But if you're on this road of trying to be in your greatest authenticity and wielding your great power that you have inside yourself, observation is going to be one of your greatest tools, because you have to be able to see yourself in order to really lean into embracing that power, that personal power. So when you notice, don't say it if you wouldn't say it to a child. The other thing is, something we called in the mental health sector is called opposite action. So if you're feeling really crappy and you notice there's a lot of negativity and you can't stop the specific voices, what you can do is do something that is opposite of the emotion that you're feeling. So if you're feeling depressed or anxious, go on YouTube and watch some cat videos. Or call your really hilarious friend and be like, hey, I just could use a pick-me-up. What do you got? Or smile. That's even a skill all on its own, is smile, because don't smile for anyone else. Don't do that. We don't need to put on a smile for anyone else, but by ourselves, unto ourselves, lift the corners of your mouth. That will actually engage positive endorphins in your brain, and stopping that railroad, that runaway train of negativity can be something that's super powerful to being able to see and observe what's actually happening, by stopping the barreling of that, those negative or hard, challenging emotions like depression, anxiety, sadness, that kind of thing. So it's about observation. We can filter ourselves by imagining what we would say to a child and not saying it to ourselves. We can engage in opposite action, and also reach out for support. that's part of the reason we want to make sure that our friends group and our family group is so healthy for us, is so that when we get into that space, we can reach out to somebody and get the support that we need. So this is a long journey. It is not something that's going to happen overnight. And I would emphasize non-judgment as you go through this. Like, yes, we want to stop the negativity. We want to embrace more health and more positivity for ourselves. But if we're going to observe ourselves, try to change that, and then judge ourselves for it, that's actually counterproductive. It's extremely counterproductive, because as we arrive to the table of wanting to be more positive, wanting to treat ourselves better, and we're sitting there ready to judge ourselves, that's a place we don't want to revisit. So we want to make sure that that space that we are in, where we're trying to cultivate positivity and love ourselves, is a judgment-free zone. So observing ourselves, awesome. Judging ourselves for not being able to turn it around, for not being able to stop the voices, is counterproductive. One resource besides the skills that I shared with you today that really helped me, and I wish I could buy this for literally everyone I care about, including all my clients, is The Untethered Soul. This is a book that was just so helpful. It's based on Buddhism, but it's super accessible. It's not a bunch of jargon that you don't understand. There's a lot of real live examples that make it make a lot of sense. So if you're struggling with figuring out how to identify for yourself, figuring out how to disengage from the negativity, from the toxicity inside yourself, and sorting all of that out, I would highly recommend The Untethered Soul, which you can find anywhere, Amazon, Goodreads, anywhere that you buy books. So yeah, I mean, I guess my challenge to you today is to catch yourself one time, and we all do it. So you got to do it. Catch yourself being in that negative space, saying something negative to yourself, and then try one of these things. Catch yourself being negative and try imagining like you're speaking to a child, or try opposite action. Just one time, just one little negative thing, and address it. And just see how that feels. How does it feel to release the pressure off yourself, to release the negativity that you often put yourself through when you're experiencing making a mistake or being in a situation that doesn't feel great? So that's my challenge to you today. And I feel extremely grateful to be able to spend this time with you, for your presence, for all the people that support me. Thank you so much. This Wednesday evening at East Blair Housing Co-op here in Eugene, we're having an NVC, Nonviolent Communication, discussion group / practice group. It's a $5 suggested donation. We had a fantastic turnout last time, and everybody got a lot from it. So hopefully, if you're in the area, you're able to join us. And if not, feel free to share with your friends, anybody who you think might be able to benefit from such a thing. And yeah, it's every time I get up here, I don't want to leave you guys. So it is with bittersweetness that I bid you adieu today. And until tomorrow, stay authentic, everyone. Thanks.